Hi everyone, my name is Siddharth and I'm a partner at Grayscale Ventures. I only have 10 minutes today, and I'm going to share with you who we are, what we do, the companies that we've invested in, and some areas that we are actively looking for to invest in. Um, yeah, first I'll tell you who we are. Our day job is to run this VC fund called Grayscale Ventures. It's a pre-seed fund. We are generally first institutional investors in AI infra startups, backing founders who are building from India for the US markets. I'm not saying the world, but US markets. Pretty strict about that. Our typical check size vary from $125,000 to $1 million, and we prefer to lead those rounds if possible. In the past, we've co-led and followed, if we're okay with that. In the upcoming slides, I'll show you the startups that we invest in. And alongside Grayscale, we've been building and running this community called Magicball for the last 30 months. This is our 44th event today. Even I am surprised that we've done so many so far. And that's why the number of people in this community are like way beyond 13,000 now. The target has always been to hit 100,000 number, but maybe we'll do that in a few years. That's a bit about Grayscale and Magicball. Let me take you through a few portfolio companies that we've invested in the past. Here are some. You might find them on our website, but I'll try to cover some of them here. The first one, probably a breakout for our fund, which is called PromptQL. They were called Hasura before. They're building a data analyst agent with enterprise-grade reliability. They say 100% reliability, but I'd rather say enterprise-grade reliability. The second one being Test Sigma. They're building AI agents for QA testing. Even Anuj from Harness is going to cover a bit on that. Another one is SafeTep, which is building AI agents to detect malicious open source software. I'm sure all of you know 70 to 80% of our software is open source in nature, and we're not sure if there's any vulnerability or malicious package over there. Next one is Tectonic. They're building, so everything is moving to agentic layer. Everything will become agentic, and Tectonic is building agentic infrastructure for the e-commerce, starting with Shopify brands. S2, they're building agent infra for context persistence. Imagine if Kafka and S3 had a baby, it would look like S2. Another one is Pipes Hub, which is building an open source enterprise search. Think a Glean alternative in an open source world. Here are some of our portfolio companies, but we've invested in a lot more. As you can see, I'll probably touch base on the next slide, but we're largely infra-focused fund. We used to focus a lot more in developer infrastructure. Now, because you guys, founders, are building in AI infrastructure, we'll rather invest in those areas. So some of our companies. On the left side, if you see, here's an oversimplified diagram of the stack of AI native products, not the AI slop. The rest segments are the ones where we call infrastructure. So there are users on the top, AI apps, infrastructure required to build these AI apps. You're running models because you need intelligence, and then you need infra to run these models. I'm sure you've seen the open routers report recently. Over 30% of workload is on open source model today, most of them Chinese, but still. So you need infra to run these models on the metal, the GPU itself. Essentially, the areas that we're interested in are infra for AI agents, voice agents, RL training, context protocols like MCP. It doesn't work on its own. GUI interactions like browser use or computer use. Essentially, I thought I'll write it over here. We love everything open source. In fact, more than 60% of our companies are open source, have taken an open source product strategy, or they figure out if that's a good way to build the product rather than using it as a GTM, which people talk about. So here I try to cover a bit of our interest areas and across the stack, but I'll go deeper into some of the areas that we are deeply interested in, and I'll call them requests for startups, like YC does that. I try to build another simplified stack of the tech stack, essentially how it would look like for agents in the future. I tried to divide it into different layers. There's build layer, tooling layer, data layer. In the build layers, you have agent builders, just like OpenAI recently launched an agent builder. You have prompt engineering evals, guardrails in that layer, at least for me. Then you have tooling layer where you help agents get the right context and help them do the right tool call. So there's tool call, GUI interaction, ETL, agent memory, and context protocol. Imagine there are a few thousand MCP servers out there live in production. Not a lot of those servers are being used today, and there's a reason why. So solving for those reasons will help build those infrastructure capabilities. ETL is pretty interesting. Imagine using a mixture of VLMs and LLMs to convert unstructured data to structured data. Taking a few examples like imagine complex CAD drawings, or this one is my favorite, like MRI machine manuals. They're so thick, right? Can you convert them and make them searchable because there's a technician who's looking for an information. So you can build those ETL. So essentially context and tool call layer, the tooling layer. The data layer, this has been the traditional layer, even though there are some interesting things happening over there, like our portfolio company PromptQL, which is building a data agent, sort of sits in that layer. They help you find right information across a lot of structured databases. The rightmost layer is the runtime layer, where, and pretty obvious what it means. It's a bit more interesting and exciting for us. I tried putting 3 segments into that. One is persistence engine. Imagine, can you really run your agents on Airflow or Temporal? Agent serving, can you really run your agents on Fireworks? Imagine the agent cold start problem, like nobody's solving for that. Sandbox environment, like environments essentially pretty obvious, but environments required by agents to run an AI written code to, let's say, access an open source library. So where do you run those? So these are some interesting segments within the runtime layer. These pink ones or the red ones are the ones that we are super excited about. Even though like we see interesting startups popping up and new segments getting created. So this is one request for startup. Another one is I took it too niche. And this one was too broad, so I went too niche. Imagine infra for edge inference, and we'll probably take a few examples here. First example being, let's say you want to enable a layman, a normal person, interact using his natural language at an ATM. So you have the edge device, which is an ATM, which is connected obviously to the cloud. Essentially, in that particular example, the edge device being the ATM, and you, as a founder of this infrastructure company, are enabling other developers to build agents on top of the compute that exists on this edge inference and on the cloud. Imagine for that use case, you can essentially, because it's conversational in nature, the interaction, you can run your speech to text and text to speech models, which are pretty small on the edge device, and can use the reasoning of an LLM of the most foundational, the smartest reasoning model out there in the cloud. Essentially, while you're building this, you're trying to optimize for latency, cost, and accuracy. While running STT and TTS on your edge devices helps you with a bit of latency and some cost, reasoning model, which is in the cloud, helps you with the accuracy part. As an infrastructure builder, you'll have to build out SDKs that are compatible with Whisper or Llama CPP that's running on the edge device. You need to optimize models that run on each device, because each device would be very, very different. There would be Android, web, even your TVs and refrigerators. Essentially, if you read over here, the use cases are pretty interesting. You can apply in retail. I'll take another retail example. Imagine we all go to retail stores and we ask the biller, hey, do you have, let's say, Diet Coke? And let's say she says no. This conversation is never captured. This is real demand data. so far, enterprise, like companies, the products that exist out there are using this sales data to forecast the demand. But this is real demand, where somebody's asking for something and that might be out of stock, or they're asking for a particular flavor of that product. So imagine running, as a customer, you're at the biller, at the POS, and there's a small off-the-shelf microphone that you're using there, and you use the compute that's within that POS machine to run STD model, and then use that data to analyze in the cloud. That's more of a one-way conversation, but you can probably make it two-way conversational too. So the ATM example was more two-way conversation, where you'll have to run the smaller models, both text synthesis and speech synthesis, on the edge device, while in the retail demand capture, you're typically just using, let's say, the Whisper model to capture text. As an infra build out, like I said, compatible with Llama CPP, model optimization for each device, which is amazing. And then out of box, you can give device level observability, analytics like throughput and latency, because essentially what they were solving for was latency, cost, and accuracy. Yeah, I'll pause here. Went beyond 10 minutes. These are some areas, like I mentioned, pretty interesting to us. Yeah, and if you're building or plan to build or want to just brainstorm with us, if you have a new theoretical idea around building in these areas, please reach out to us at sid@grayscale, or just visit our website, and you'll find a bit more information about our portfolio companies and things we look at, and more about our team members.